Hi, I'm Gary with Palm Professionals Tropical Nursery. We get a lot of requests after this freeze just came through asking us how to tell if your palm tree is dead and if there's anything you can do to try to help save it. So that's what we're going to kind of cover today, and also more importantly, there's a lot of really bad advice being circled around right now that we're getting notified about. Things that people are told to do to their trees that will actually probably kill your tree without a doubt. So we're going to cover all that. I'll try to keep it as short as I can. So what you're looking at first and foremost is the crown of the trees. If you look behind me here, you'll see we've got some Ceylon date palms. This one is still upright. You can kind of see it's still somewhat strong and erect. The petioles or the fronds, everything is still stout on it and standing upwards like it should be traditionally on a tree. See the one next to it where the crown is already collapsing on this tree. That's dead for sure. Beyond a doubt, that tree can go. You're not going to save that. Sometimes if they are multi-trunk trees and they do grow new stuff out of the base, you can get some more of those to regenerate. So you may just cut off the main palm and let a new palm trunk grow. But not all palm trees are like that. So that's the very first thing you're going to look for right off of the bat. And I'll show you a few more samples of some other trees as well, shorter ones, tall ones. The next thing you can do, if they are upright, you'll see this tree behind me here, this palm behind me here. What you're going to want to do is take this spear right here, and you're going to want to pull up on it. And you can pull pretty hard. Don't be scared that you're going to damage the tree by pulling hard on there, because if it is going to pull out, you need it out of there. So like this right there, you can see where this is pulling out from way down in the tree. And if you look at it, it gets real soft and mushy. See how that bends all around like that? So now that your spear has actually pulled out of the tree, there's a couple different things you're looking for here. Normally, if your spear pulls out, it's not a good sign. There are different ways the spear can pull out, though, to let you know whether it's going to be severely detrimental or if you still have a chance. Either way, if you've got a lot of money invested into your palm tree, or if it's just something that you really love, that particular palm, it'll be worth the treatment as long as the crown isn't collapsing just yet. So what you're going to want to do is you'll look to see how far down this spear pulled from out of the tree. So you can see this one came from almost probably 8 or 10 inches down into the trunk, which is pretty significant length. So it slid out very easy. This was the top of it right here. This slid out very easy without any hard tugging or pulling on it. And this one more than likely is probably not going to make it. So it came out really easy, deep down in the tree. It's covered in mush. There's no insects on it yet, but they will be there shortly if it's not treated. So a very lengthy spear pull that comes out easy, that's not a real high probability of survival. But again, it's up to you whether you think it's worth the effort of treating it or not. If they just pop off, if you pull it from here, and it only comes off right here, and you have to pull pretty hard, and it just breaks off right here, and you don't have all of this come out with it, if it just breaks off like right here when you pull on it, then you've got a better chance of that tree coming back around. So, you still got a good 50-50 chance right there, as opposed to this entire thing coming out from down into the tree. I've even seen these come out like 2-3 feet long down inside of the tree to where you just keep pulling it out. So just know that going into it. So if it kind of breaks off at the top, you've got a good 50-50 chance. If it pulls from way down inside of there, it's a lot less chance of that palm surviving and recouping. But again, it just depends on you. Is it a special tree somebody gave to you, or does it have special meaning, or did you pay a lot of money for the particular palm, or they're hard to get where you're at? You may want to do the treatment either way. That's up to you. And then again, you can access this. We showed you how to spray some of the medium-sized ones. Not everybody can get up to the top one, the really tall ones. That normally starts requiring specialty equipment, or you can try with a ladder. Just be careful. But normally, once you get into situations like that, you'd have to hire a company like us, like a palm tree specialist, to come out with special-made equipment to actually spray down into the tops. So for a few $100 on average, you can get a couple trees sprayed instead of losing thousands of dollars of potential investment and having them replaced and starting over again. So just something to kind of keep in mind when you pull that spear out. Watch how much comes out, how hard it was to get it out. That's going to be important information for you to have. So if it is doing that, what you're going to want to do is you've got to try to treat it. So after a hard freeze like this, what happens is, even if your tree has a chance of survival, you're going to get fungal infections and bacterial infections that then draw insects in that will then tunnel down through the tree. You're going to want to stop that. The closer after the freeze you can do the applications, the better. So what you'll typically do is we have found normally that the copper-based fungicide is the best one to use after the freeze, because it actually will be like an antifungal and antibacterial, where some fungicides just kill particular funguses. Funguses? Fungi. Hey, that reminds me of a joke. Why does the mushroom have so many friends? Because he's a fun guy. So this is kind of a good broadband spectrum product you could use to help with the palm trees after the freeze. So just get your pump sprayer, and there's a couple different ways you can do this on smaller material. You're going to want to spray it actually down in here, if possible, to get to it, and blast it down into the tree. And even if you can get your wand down in there, just inject it as hard as you can until you start seeing it bubble out through the top like that. You need it fully saturated to try to kill off anything that's going to further damage the tree. So this is kind of easy to access because it's a shorter tree. On the taller ones, it's a little bit different. You are going to end up having to spray kind of upwards. So medium-sized trees, you can try to spray and get up into it and try to let it run down into the tree itself. And obviously, if you have a little bit more pressure in the tree and the sprayer, you can get a little bit more in there, but I'm just trying to show you this just for basic principles, just to kind of give you an understanding of what we're talking about when we say crown drench the palm. That's what you're trying to do. And when you start getting into taller palms, obviously it's going to be a little bit harder. You're either going to have to get a ladder, or you may have to get a hose end sprayer. They sell at typical garden centers or box stores. You can get attached to a water hose, put the fungicide in there, set your dilution rate that it says on whatever product you're using for copper-based fungicide, or whatever brand rather, and you can spray that onto the trees, onto the palms, up into the crown. Just wear your safety glasses, wear your gear, everything that'll tell you about on the labels. So that's some of the stuff you can do, starters. I want to show you one of the other things you're looking for is actually trunk bleeding. So if you have significant damage to a palm tree after a freeze, the trunk will start oozing like a clearish, kind of a red fluid out of it. And if you notice that, there's significant damage inside of the palm tree. So this is what you're going to see here. You're also looking for this. See this liquid coming out of here? It's pouring down. See the little red drips coming out, oozing onto the ground right here? So again, if you're seeing this running down your palm tree trunk, more than likely you're probably going to have a fatality on your hands from the palm tree. Moving to the front, this is going to be a more common one, your Mexican fan palms. So up here in the front, you'll see some tall ones we've got right here behind me, right here. So see again how the tops of these are all collapsed and the fronds are kind of hanging downwards. There's nothing really standing up. We're going to chop those down. Those are gone. So those two banana bend palm trees are gone. We've got the custom curved one right here in front of the nursery. We call it a tornado palm. We normally grow and braid these together. It takes several years. You turn it over, let it grow to the sun, flip it again. This one has taken us years to get it like this. This one's dead now. That'll go in the garbage. See the top that's all just kind of hanging downwards? There's nothing really, there's no spear, nothing at all. That's probably going to start deteriorating soon. We're not even going to waste our time treating that one. The canaries back here behind me, you can see on these, all the tops are still standing upright. So where these are upright, we're going to still go ahead and try to save those. We'll trim off all the brown fronds, everything that's brown or broken hanging down on your palms, trim it off. So you're going to get that out of there. And then I'm going to talk to you about the other things that are being said right now that are really some of the worst advice I've ever heard for palm trees. So what they're telling, what I've been hearing from customers are that they are being told to cut the trunk of the tree off. So they're saying that if you come in, they were told to cut this trunk off because after the freeze, the new growth can't grow because there's so much pressure on the top that it's not allowing it to grow, and it's like an ingrown hair or a fingernail or something, and once you cut this trunk off, growth just pops back out and your tree miraculously comes back to life almost instantly. You can almost watch the growth come out. Do not do this. You're going to kill your tree. Even if you happen to cut it at the right height and get lucky and a little sprout comes out, the tree trunk is now permanently damaged. You're going to have flaws with it later, potential diseases, trunk constriction, a weak spot. Anytime I've ever seen that performed, typically within a year, any new growth that you're lucky enough to get out of it dies. So that's not a way to do it. And then you can get diseases like Theoloviopsis, all kind of other problems. Do not cut your trunk off of your palm tree. Dumbest advice I've ever heard. There's another thing so we talked about the treatments of the top of the palms. That's the best way. That's the most crucial part right now is drenching, crown drench. That's where all your problems are, that you're going to get the fungal activity, the bacterial infections, all of that stuff. What you're going to want to do is crown drench, crown drench, crown drench. Get it in there really thick and then just give it some time. There's some arborists that are used to doing tree injections, and they've got these needles they can hammer into a regular shade tree or drill a hole and then inject stuff into a shade tree. You don't want to do that with palm trees. Number one, palm trees, the trunks aren't going to reheal and grow. It's a pseudo bark. It's not a real bark like on a traditional shade tree. So when you go popping holes in that thing, that hole will be permanent. It'll only get larger and deeper into the tree, and you're causing severe damage. The other problem with trying to do that treatment is you already have a weak, stunted tree that's damaged from a freeze. Punching holes into it and trying to let an insecticide or fungicide slowly work its way through the tree over 4 or 5 or 6 months is not going to help you right now. You need a crown drench. So again, to me, it's kind of common sense. You know, you don't punch holes in a sick tree. You don't chop off the top of your trunk of a sick tree. That's the same reason if you're already sick, you don't go in for a major surgery as people. It just makes sense. Why would you cause more trauma to your palm? So do not do that. If you do that, we do sell palm trees, but I'd rather if you just didn't, because we don't like digging up the stumps. So kind of follow these tips. That'll help you a lot, and hopefully get you through some of this and your trees will survive. Now, everybody always asks what we do to protect them. So our delicate stuff, obviously we have to move into heaters. Stuff that's moderately tropical, that doesn't withstand heavy freezes, we'll just lay that down and cover it up. But we also spray every single thing in this nursery right here with a product called Leaf Guardian spray. And that helps a lot with all of our inventory. You know, we grow the palm tree, so we're not just a typical like a garden center that buys and sells palms and just having to know the name or the tag on there. We grow the palm trees, so we have to know this information. We care about the trees. We grow them from small seedling stages like this and have to watch these things and water them and care for them throughout their life. So it's not just like a palm for us. We know them, we grow them, we love them. So we're passionate about these things. This is why we take the efforts to try to make sure our palms look as good as they do. Spraying them with the Leaf Guardian spray. Fertilize them throughout the year. Builds their resistance up to freezes. The potassium levels in fertilizer will keep their levels up and a little bit more cell wall flexibility during the freezes so they don't crack, and then whenever they try to regrow after the freeze, turn orange and red and all those weird colors as they're dying. Again, it's just a little bit of effort beforehand. Try to wrap them up if you can. Little heaters, stuff like that. We've got guides, we've written articles before on so many different ways to protect your palms, but a little effort goes a long way. You can see around me here in our nursery, we have palm trees. It's just a matter of putting in an effort. So again, just to cover what we were talking about, copper-based fungicide drench in the canopy. It's the most important part. Do not drill holes in your trees. Do not cut the top of your trunk off. anything brown or broken or hanging down, you can trim it off. It's of no use to the palm tree anymore. So get that out of there and just give it a little time, and hopefully you won't see any trunk bleeding or oozing or anything like that, and you'll be on your way to having some new growth coming out soon. So sorry about the length. I tried to keep it short. Again, this is Gary with Palm Professionals Tropical Nursery, and wish you all the best. Good luck.